This has been the year of Antonio Brown, except for all the wrong reasons. There were all the embarrassing and desperate stunts that he pulled to get people to look at him, or to force his way out of Pittsburgh, or both. You know, going on that singing competition, live streaming from his cardio sessions, self-glossing with one of the most idiotic names ever, getting into Twitter beefs with former teammates. And that list goes on and on and on. But I said from the start, there was no way he could keep it up all offseason. Well, it does take a very big man to admit when he's wrong. And I've got to admit, I was wrong. Incredibly wrong. Because not only has he kept it going, he's taken it right into overdrive. There is so much to this Antonio Brown circus. In the past 2 weeks alone, I'm not sure I can fully recap this in a single segment or even one show. So let me pick my spots. Let me start with the pics on Instagram of his feet. At least I think those were his feet, because I have never seen anything like that before. Look, I know a lot of athletes have jacked up feet. Receivers spend so much time running and cutting and jumping that their feet are going to take a beating. But no pair of feet have ever looked like that before. Ever. My man, hit that with some lotion. In fact, hit up Jerry Rice. I love Jerry Rice. One of the things I love most about Jerry Rice is one time I interviewed him on TV, but before the cameras rolled, he said he had to lotion up his feet. And he did. True story. My man was rocking some sandals, took them off, asked for some lotion, and he lotioned up his feet. AB, hit him up. He is one of the few guys who was a better receiver than you, and clearly he had a better plan for his feet than you. And if you're not going to do that, at least hit that with some foot Nivea. Or go to those places where you stick your feet in water and the tiny little fish come over and they nibble off your dead skin. Antonio Brown's feet would be like an old country buffet for those little fish. I mean, are we even sure that those were actually his feet and not some kind of prop or something? Because they look like loaves of bread fresh out of the oven with the crust cracking perfectly. Except it's not crust, it's skin. And it's not cracking perfectly, it's full layers of skin coming off his feet. The only thing better than the hideousness of his feet is the alleged reason behind it. Frostbite. In July, in France. There is only one person on this planet who could get frostbite in July in France, and that person is Antonio Brown. And if the frostbite weren't good enough, it's because he allegedly got it going into a cryo chamber without the appropriate footwear. I mean, if that's true, that is about the dumbest thing ever. Cryo chambers can get down to negative 170 degrees, even colder than that. You go into them wearing gloves and foot coverings for a reason. And that reason is Antonio Brown's feet. Only Antonio Brown could approach a cryo chamber in France and say, man, I don't need to cover my feet properly. I wonder if he went with some like Evel Knievel blast like, yo, you know who the hell I am?
You know who the hell I am?
You know who the hell these feet are attached to? It's going to be a negative 170. Psst, please.
Please.
Man, I played my football in Pittsburgh. You want to see badass? Watch this. I mean, are you kidding me about this, AB? What the hell are you thinking? You imagine this dude trying to run routes without his feet? I'm guessing he's not going to get the separation that he's accustomed to getting without feet. As good as he is at running that go route, he's not running it without feet. I mean, what is this guy doing? His feet are right next to his hands when it comes to being his moneymakers. I'd be really careful with those things. Luckily, he still has feet, or what's left of them, but he also has frostbite. And again, I can't stress this enough. Antonio Brown has frostbite from the summer, and it's keeping him from practicing with the team. Or is it? because there is another story with AB, one that might actually be even dumber and even more ridiculous than getting frostbite in the summer in France. And it was detailed by Mike Silver in an all-time great Twitter thread, a thread that goes about 20 tweets deep. I can't read all of it, but here are a few highlights really quickly, starting with the first tweet. Quote, even before suffering bizarre injuries to his feet, Antonio Brown alarmed Raiders coaches and teammates by railing against the NFL's enhanced enforcement of helmet regulations, a policy change which will likely force the star receiver to switch to a new model. And then there was this tweet, quote, Brown initially left to seek an additional medical opinion on his frostbitten feet. Before leaving, he pushed back for a third time against the league's prohibition of the helmet model that he has worn for his entire 9-year career. Listen, about the helmet, about that thing. Playing in the NFL is violent. It's dangerous. Every guy should get as much money as he possibly can. Every player should do whatever they can within the rules to feel safe and comfortable, all right? I really don't even want to get into the details of the NFL and the NFLPA's rules about helmets and what they can and can't be used for. So I've got my own simple rule, a very simple rule, just one rule. If you get frostbite in the summer, you cannot argue about the helmets. That's it. There's your rule. If it's summer and you get frostbite on your feet, you cannot talk about what goes on your head. By showing me those jacked up feet, you're telling me you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to safety. Hell, I don't care if Albert Einstein walked into the Raiders practice facility tomorrow to talk helmet safety. If Albert showed up with frostbitten feet, I'm not listening. Wait, but there's more. Silver's Twitter thread also read, and this is the 13th tweet, an important one. Quote, however, sometime in the next couple of weeks, Brown once again tried to take the field with his old helmet, which he had since repainted with colors approximating but not completely mimicking the Raiders' silver and black design. So my guy showed up wearing his old helmet, but he tried to paint it to look like a Raiders helmet, which is about the most amazing Antonio Brown thing ever. The guy went home, and either he or somebody he knows took the helmet, got some silver and black poster paint, and tried to paint it up and fool everybody like nobody was going to know. They treated the NFL helmet, the thing that is supposed to protect your skull from repeated blows, from brain trauma, that thing. And they treated it like a 6th grade art project. Man, that is so awesome. May as well just show up wearing a Home Depot bucket on your head and spray paint that thing silver. Like I said, I can do an entire program on this topic alone, especially since I was off for 2 weeks. But to button it up right here, at least bottom line it right here, is there anybody anywhere surprised that Mr. Big Chest is pulling this crap? You shouldn't be. Most of all, the Raiders should not be. There's a reason Pittsburgh got rid of this guy. And there's a reason the Raiders got him on the cheap. In fact, lots of reasons. Again, this is the same guy who abandoned his teammates with a game left in the regular season while they were still in the playoff hunt. The same guy who bleached his facial lettuce blonde. The same guy who self-glossed. And of course, not only self-glossed, but self-glossed Mr. Big Chest. Mr. Big Chest. The same guy who lost his bleep when he was not named team MVP. The same guy who forced his way out of town. The same guy who lit the organization on fire on the way out the door. An organization that had pretty much always done right by him. So, of course, none of this is a surprise. This is who this guy is. Maybe not who he's always been, but this is who he is now. This is who he is. This is where he lives. This is what he does. And this is what you get when you bring him in. And the Raiders had to know that when they brought him in. And if they didn't, they should have. Because he's been pulling this crap for a while now.